Greetings, my fellow patriots. We are live. This is Live Free or Die. And I'm your host, independent journalist Eli King, on your Manhattan Neighborhood Network. This is the People's Network, where we, the people, get to express our First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, and freedom of press. Here we cover the alternative news, on my show, at least. I don't know about many other shows. And today, before we get to our top alternative news, we will be talking about a little bit of psychological operations on television shows. Because the Pentagon admits 90% of the wars they fight today are psychological. So right now, I want to go to this first clip. It's from this new TV series called Homeland. It's on Showtime. It's a very good show. I love it. I watch it every week. But the problem is, this is a major psyop. They're mentally preparing you for Americans who want to commit terrorist attacks. And I will show you examples of that on my next clip. But first, let's go to Homeland. Let's show this wonderful clip of Homeland. Oh, that's nice.
Last night, at 2300, two UH-60 Black Hawk gunships lit the target with over 8,000 rounds. During the sweep, one of the Deltas found something else. I'm an American. Marine Sergeant Nicholas Brody, MIA since early 2003 and presumed dead. Until now. What were his exact words?
An American prisoner of war has been turned.
You're suggesting that Abinazir planted intelligence on his own safe house just so we could recover Sergeant Brody?
If he is a terrorist, we need eyes and ears on Brody from the minute he steps off that plane.
But out of the question. You think for 1 minute you get away with this?
I thought that once I had some proof.
If even suggesting that Sergeant Brody's what you think he is. Sergeant Brody, it's an honor.
If somebody's trying to make contact with Brody, it'll only happen once. Do you know who this man is?
No, I never met him.
I'm just making sure we don't get hit again.
On behalf of the President of the United States, it is my privilege to welcome you home. Homeland, coming this fall. Only on Showtime.
All right, that was a clip from Homeland, where basically an American POW gets turned by the Al-Qaeda to come back home and strike terror on America. And the reason why I say this is because this is what they do. They're psychological operations they put upon us through TV shows. And you may think I sound crazy right now, but another show that I watch is Sons of Anarchy. Very, very good show. I love it. But recently, on this last episode, the Mexican cartel, which the Sons of Anarchy, this biker club, was selling guns and drugs for them. Who do they turn out to be? The Mexican cartel is no other than who? The CIA. The CIA. What I was talking about in my articles. There's an article right here from the New York Toilet Paper Times. DEA launders Mexican profits of drug cartels. So they're now placing this in your TV show to make you think, oh, that's what good guys do. Like in the show 24, where Jack Bauer tortures people. Oh, that's what good guys do. No, that's not what good guys do. That's not what good Americans do. Damn it. All right. And to prove this theory, I have another clip. This show was called The Lone Gunman. It was sort of a runoff series from The X-Files. And this came out in March of 2011, where basically the plot is two remote control planes are going to fly into the Twin Towers. This show came out months before 9/11. Gee, how did they predict this? You wonder. Let's just go to the clip. Here we go. The Lone Gunman predicts 9/11.
Manual override. We go public with your testimony, we can break this conspiracy wide open, bring Overlord down, the whole operation. Dad, what is it?
You're a brave man, John.
I'm not going to testify. I'm going to let them cover this up.
You almost killed me twice. They won't fail a third time. My silence will keep me alive. And you. I know you and your friends are fighting for the American dream. Just don't expect to win.
All right, you saw it there for yourself. The Lone Gunman, which came out in March of 2001, like I stated before, was predicted by this runoff show of The X-Files back in March of 2001, way before 9/11. Now, I don't know if this is a sick theory or a sick game that they like to play. I don't know what the hell is going on. But doesn't that seem weird to you? Basically, my point is, psychological operations are being put upon your mind by the government. They are warning you through television. Or I don't know. I don't know what the hell it is. But do your own research. Look into it. Because that's pretty damn weird to me. Because I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against the tyranny over the mind of man, as Thomas Jefferson said. That's why I do what I do. All right, let's go to news, alternative news now. We got the Department of Homeland Security. They're going to shut down a blog for a year on false pretenses, they say. In a chilling illustration of how far internet censorship has advanced, the Department of Homeland Security seized a popular music blog and shut down the website for over a year on charges it now admits were completely false. The website in question is thejazz1.com. that some VJs and DJs regularly use. Internet censorship is here, people. Even Joe Lieberman, this is from the American Free Press, Joe Lieberman wants to use terrorism as backdoor to internet censorship. He wants to put a flag button on your Google that says, I guess, terrorist. Like, oh God. I gotta get myself together. These people are idiots. These people are morons. They're just trying to instill fear. Instill fear into you. We can't allow this to happen. Joe Lieberman sent a letter to the multi-million-dollar internet company Google.com demanding that the search provider install a flag button that would be used to help the government in its so-called war on terrorism. Yeah, right. All right, we got big news coming up right now. I don't know if you've heard already, but remember the FEMA camps? All these people calling me a conspiracy theorist and everybody else who believed in the FEMA camps? Well, guess what? It turns out the FEMA camps are real, and the government is activating FEMA camps across the United States. This is exclusive from Infowars.com, has received a document originating from Halliburton subsidiary KBR that provides details on a push to outfit FEMA and U.S. Army camps around the United States. Internment camp services bid arrives after the National Defense Authorization Act that I talked about last week. Section 1031 of the National Defense Authorization Act bill declares the whole of the United States as a battlefield and allows American citizens to be arrested on U.S. soil and incarcerated in Guantanamo Bay. Soon after KBR's announcement, a little-known Army document surfaced entitled Civilian Inmate Labor Program. The unclassified document describes in detail Army Regulation 210-35. The regulation, first drafted in 1997, underwent, and this is another thing, the Patriot Act, the National Defense Act, all these acts were written before 9/11. Were already written. Also, Rex 84, short for Readiness Exercise 1984, was established under the pretext of mass exodus of illegal aliens crossing the Mexican-U.S. border, the same pretense used in the language of the KBR request for services. During the Iran-Contra hearings in 1997, however, it was revealed that the program was a secretive scenario and drill developed by the federal government to suspend the Constitution, declare martial law, assign military commanders to take over state and local governments, and detain large numbers of American citizens determined by the government to be national security threats. How wonderful is this? And we have a regular caller named Steve. He brought up a person by the name of Peter King. I did some looking into on Peter King. It turns out the man is not so good after all. New York Representative Peter King, who heads up the House Homeland Security Subcommittee, signaled a sense of urgency when he said the federal government has to be careful not to allow this movement to gain any legitimacy. He's talking about the Occupy Wall Street movement. I'm taking this seriously in that I'm old enough to remember what happened in the 1960s when the left wing took to the streets and somehow the media glorified them and it ended up shaping policy. We can't allow this to happen, says Peter King. So I'm sorry, Steve, but Peter King's no damn good. You can call up if you like. Number's 212-245-7273. We are live. This is Live Free or Die. All right, detention camp order follows preparation for civil unrest. That's right. The order has already come out. All right, seems we have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, Steve from Midtown. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yep.
All right. Did you hear the news on your friend Peter King there?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
Yep.
Unfortunately, he doesn't turn out to be
either.
such a good fellow.
Right. Now, the only person that you rely on is Ron Paul and Jesse Ventura. He's our really only hope that we have here.
Ron Paul,
Think about
Jesse
country.
Ventura, Dennis Kucinich, his Ron Paul's son, Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky. There are a number of them out there. You just have to look closely, study their history, study their voting record, and then you will know who they really are. If they take money from the Federal Reserve and Wall Street, they're no good. They're puppets.
That's right, man. Like also the rest of your politics, man. They're all puppets controlled by your higher-ups. Now, you mentioned earlier in that reading talking about FEMA camps and martial law when that gets played out.
The FEMA camps now have been officially activated, with many Americans now becoming pre-revolutionary as a result of their fury at the Obama administration and equally unpopular lawmakers in Washington. Potential civil unrest could spring not just from a poverty-stricken underclass, but also to a shrinking middle class.
Oh, like you and me, right?
Like you, like me, like your neighbor who may have a $100,000 job a year. Hey, but I'll tell you what, Steve. If you need a job, the Army posts job openings for internment specialist following this whole announcement of FEMA camps opening. So if you want to wash clothes for the FEMA camp, or be a guard, or cook some food, hey, we could get jobs at the FEMA camp. How wonderful! How wonderful is that, Steve?
All right. See, that's one of their dirty tricks right there. You know?
Ridiculous, Steve.
Once the military comes back into our country, right, you're going to have a ticket tape parade. It's going to be a grace period for them for a short period until martial law is declared.
I don't know.
Brought those troops back home for a reason.
If they start trying to snatch up returning veterans, or any veteran for that matter, and take them to a FEMA camp, I don't think a veteran is going to go willingly.
Now, what about the Obama Youth Army? Because I know he's recruiting them, too.
Oh, yeah, the Boy Scouts. They're training the Boy Scouts to confiscate the weapons of the returning veterans and vets who own guns. They're trying to do away with the Second Amendment totally with this total gun control. Newt Gingrich supports gun control.
Oh, of course. That's one of the problem there is.
Makes me angry.
Guns.
Steve, I got to let you go. Anything you want to say before I let you go?
Yes, exactly. Do you remember the emergency alert system they tested on November 9th?
Yes.
Now, you know the reason why they did that in the event of martial law.
Oh, absolutely.
Because once martial law starts, chances are all your TV stations are going to be off the air.
It's a psyop.
Be on radio.
It's a psyop. They want to break into everything. Your cell phone, your computer.
Oh, yeah, they're going to do that, too. Yes, exactly.
It's just a fear propaganda campaign.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what they do. That's why big anxiety starts up.
Absolutely, Steve. I thank you for your call. All right, let's move on to the next story here. Lawman Richard Mack tells sheriffs, you can fight NWO at the county level. See, more and more sheriffs and police officers need to stand up and understand that oath you took to the Constitution. You swore an oath. You need to remember that. Let me read this article by Pat Shannon from American Free Press. Sheriffs from all over America are being invited to gather on January 20th, 2012 in Las Vegas, Nevada, for what could be the most important meeting since the Constitution Convention of 1787, according to Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association founder Richard Mack. As Americans push back with their Tea Party and Occupy movements, screaming at the corruption of big banks and Wall Street, they still have not realized the solution right in their own backyard, says Richard Mack over here. Mack is the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona. Your local sheriffs need to know, Mack told American Free Press, that there is nothing that the UN or the New World Order boys or the feds want to shove down our otherwise healthy throats that we cannot stop at the county level with a constitutional, educated sheriff. The goal, according to Sheriff Mack, is to get 10% of all the sheriffs, or about 200 from around the nation, on board for a free education. He figures that when 200 of them begin to behave constitutionally by telling federal agents not to step beyond their county boundaries and taking positive action to prevent it, much of the remaining majority will wake up. So to all my military personnel, to all my peace officers, to all my police officers, to all my constables of the United States of America, we have sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States. Every peace officer, like I said, should carry a pocket constitution, know it, love it, and sign it. Because that's what this country is founded on. We are a republic, not a democracy. Like I said before, this isn't democracy now. This is republic now. And I am a son of the republic. You better believe it. And first, we will move nonviolent. We will use the power of the pen, the power of the voice, until you start taking us to FEMA camps. Then the game is on. All right, let's move on to other news. Portugal raiding pension funds could be a sign of things to come in the U.S. That's right, Portugal is snatching pension funds, 401ks, stuff like this. There is a saying that epitomizes the dangers of surrendering too much of your independence. Those who giveth can also taketh away. With that in mind, it should come as no surprise that in Portugal, and most likely a number of other nations in the months and years to come, state-provided pension funds are no longer safe from the government's all-powerful reach. As bad as it sounds for Portugal, and raiding the retirement funds of millions of Portuguese, that couldn't happen in the U.S., right? Wrong. It already has happened. Do you remember last summer when the Obama administration authorized Treasury in May to tap federal retiree programs to help fund operations? This is from Natural News. J.D. Hayes reports this. We are the alternative news. We talk about real issues, not Kim Kardashian's big butt. No. The alternative is rising. Bye-bye, mainstream. I'm the new mainstream. We are the new mainstream. People stand up. Voice. Voice what you have to say. All right, let's move on. Mercosi, this is from the New America. Mercosi letter to EU. Now is time to to strip countries of sovereignty. In his candid appraisal of the letter from Germany's Angela Merkel and France's Nicolas Sarkozy to the European Union meeting that starts on Friday in Brussels, Dan Murphy makes it clear that this summit will be different from the previous 20. This one is determined to override national sovereignty. So basically, they want the European Union and those nations to take away their constitutions and their sovereignty so they could take away their money. They could take over their financial systems and create an economic collapse. All right, let's move on. Phony FBI terror plots garner increased national security. I'm sure you've heard of this Dominican wannabe terrorist. On November 18th, Jose Pimentel, an American citizen from the Dominican Republic, was arrested in New York and charged with constructing a pipe bomb. A federal informant who had been monitoring him sat by, giving him directions or having already instructed Pimentel to attack an American target in revenge for the assassination of American Islamic cleric Anwar al-Awlaki, the CIA lackey. It also says here that the FBI They find informants. They find these informants and they pay them $400 a week to try to dig up stuff on people. And if they happen to get a conviction, they get a $2,000 bonus. So you're going to find this mentally retarded, emotionally disturbed person who happens to love Allah, whatever, and he believes he's doing the right thing. So he gets duped by this FBI informant. Here's the bomb, here's the money, go blow it up. And then, he's mentally unstable. The FBI moves in and says, look, we got another one. We got another one. It's all bull, people. It's bull. All right, let's move on. Flu research dangers unreported. They got this new H5N1 bird flu virus that a doctor says, Dr. Ron Fauci announced he had created in his lab a form of bird flu virus that had become highly contagious between ferrets. See, they were creating these flu viruses in labs, and then they plan to release them onto the American public, and then they're going to say, go to a FEMA camp if you want to be safe, and take your shots. People, this is live free or die. I am your host, Eli King, investigative journalist, signing off. And if you have received this transmission, then you are the resistance. God bless country.
If he is a terrorist, we need eyes and ears on Brody from the minute he steps off that plane.
But out of the question. You think for 1 minute you get away with this?
I thought that once I had some crews.
Yeah, even suggesting that Sergeant Brody's what you think he is. Sergeant Brody, it's an honor.
If somebody's trying to make contact with Brody, it'll only happen once. Do you know who this man is?
No, I never met him.
I'm just making sure we don't get hit again.
On behalf of the President of the United States, it is my privilege to welcome you home. Homeland, coming this fall. Only on Showtime.
All right, that was a clip from Homeland, where basically an American POW gets turned by the Al-Qaeda to come back home. The alternative news on my show, at least. I don't know about many other shows. And today, before we get to our top alternative news, we will be talking about a little bit of psychological operations on television shows, because the Pentagon admits 90% of the wars they fight today are psychological. So right now, I want to go to this first clip. It's from this new TV series called Homeland. It's on Showtime. It's a very good show. I love it. I watch it every week. But the problem is, this is a major psyop. They're mentally preparing you for Americans who want to commit terrorist attacks. And I will show you examples of that on my next clip. But first, let's go to Homeland. Greetings, my fellow patriots. We are live. This is Live Free or Die. And I'm your host, independent journalist Eli King, on your Manhattan Neighborhood Network. This is the People's Network, where we, the people, get to express our First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, and freedom of press. Here we cover them and strike terror on America. And the reason why I say this is because this is what they do. They're psychological operations they put upon us through TV shows. And you may think I sound crazy right now, but another show that I watch is Sons of Anarchy. Very, very good show. I love it. But recently, on this last episode, the Mexican cartel, which the Sons of Anarchy, this biker club, was selling guns and drugs for them. Who do they turn out to be? The Mexican cartel is no other than who? The CIA. The CIA. What I was talking about in my articles. There's an article right here from the New York Toilet Paper Times. DEA launders Mexican profits of drug cartels. So they're now placing this in your TV show. Let's show this wonderful clip of Homeland. Oh, that's nice.
Last night at 2300, two UH-60 Black Hawk gunships lit the target with over 8,000 rounds. During the sweep, one of the Deltas found something else.
I'm an American.
Marine Sergeant Nicholas Brody, MIA since early 2003 and presumed dead. Until now.
What were his exact words?
An American prisoner of war has been turned.
You're suggesting that happened to Syria.